away if you are not careful.
Yeah, importantly, not long range in the laning phase. When we get into team fights and things like that, it's a completely different beast with the curtain call and the setup that you have with it, but you make great points. Through the laning phase, when we expect this Lucian Nami to be very potent, it's going to be difficult for Reckless to either farm or stay alive. One of the two, largely going to have to go by the wayside. Now, with Mirage in this second round of bans, they've failed to take away what I feel like has turned into the LFL's answer to Corki. Yes, they get rid of the LeBlanc, they get rid of the Azir, two champions that Seiken is very well known for, but they're actually going to let him default back to the third option, which is Ryze. I feel like the three picks that Seiken played the entirety of Spring are on the ban table or in the Carmine Corp mid lane right now, so he's got his pick of the litter, really, in terms of which ones he wanted. Well, Mirage actually banned away two of them, and he said, well, I will simply take the third. Top lane counter pick for Carmine Corp, something that we see so very frequently. Don't pick Gnar. That's okay. Now, this was something that I mentioned. It was the start of Super Week. Week number 4, Cabo Shard had a game where they blind picked Gnar into him, and he just pulled out an Irelia. This is something that they can do, and with the way that Carmine Corp likes to play, they can focus that top side, they can allow the Irelia to really get some free reign over the map, and really have a setup where Bad Lulu can be, yes, fairly safe on the Gnar initially, but this Irelia pick, I think that if Cabo goes for it, is going to be something that is absolutely terrifying.
We'll have to keep our eyes on the Irelia pick. I mean, worth noting, KC ends up getting counterpick in every single lane except for jungle, so that is something that could be relevant. Now, when your counterpick is Ryze, I'm not sure how I personally feel about it. Maybe you can enlighten me on that a little bit more. But the Udyr also locked in right there, Rudu. We were talking about this one at the top of the day, a champion that has really surged its way into the jungle meta, at least in North American proving grounds, and we've been seeing it a lot. It's been favorable into things like the Wukong that have been very high priority in the LFL this time around. It's going to be taken to the Lee Sin. I think it serves a very similar role. You out-farm it, you can gank pretty well, and our compositions have been rounded out. We kind of flew through that one, so let's step back, take stock. It's a lot of skirmishing, a lot of more early game to mid game for KC, but for the side of Mirage, we've got a mix of everything. Early game in the bottom lane and in the jungle, a little bit more scaling in the mid lane.
Yeah, and these predictions were made prior to the draft being performed, but I'm still quite happy to stick with mine. I think that the topside control, the sort of identity of Carmine Corp at this point, really does speak through in this draft, and then in sort of games gone by as well. The Irelia in the top lane, Cabo Shard has shown that he's happy to take this as an answer to the Gnar, so with people still blinding it into him, they're kind of asking for this Irelia to get picked. And now we get to see what I feel like will just be classic Spring KC game.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about my prediction too. Now I'm on the Prophet side, so I feel like I cannot be wrong here, because either we're both wrong and it's fine, or we're both right. But yeah, Irelia and Gnar, I mean, this feels like it's KC's bread and butter, and at least to me, maybe we can go a little bit more in detail on this. It feels like that when we look at these comps for the side of KC and Mirage, it just seems like they kind of need to blow up this bottom lane to really have a chance.
We'll have to find out, because game number 2 is ready. We're going to hop onto the Rift in just a second.
And we are on to the Rift. Game number 2. It is KC on the red side up against Mirage on the blue. Some interesting drafts from both sides, and I think the thing that really sticks out, Cabo Shard on the Irelia. Gonna try to blow up the top lane, but we mentioned this right at the end of draft there, Rude Dude. On the bottom side, Cody Sun has access to that Lucian, maybe, just maybe, can get revenge on Reckless for all of the times they faced off against one another.
For all of the misgivings that happened in international play, wherever we may be thinking of, there's certainly an element here of top side versus bot side, and I think that that's something that I want to bring up quickly. Obviously, this should be a fairly weak side for Bad Lulu. He's going to be the large focus for Carmine Corp, And we're going to see Mirage hopefully focus a lot of their attentions onto Reckless in that bot lane. Obviously, taking the Jhin has gone for a longsword 3-pot start along with Fleet Footwork, so has a ton of inbuilt sustain to the laning phase up against this Lucian Nami. But Mirage actually going for an early ward. They are not going to be able to clear it out, unfortunately, Seiken just a hair too far away. But that's good information to get on to 113. A second one, they've doubled down. So what I also wanted to bring up was that we talked about this being quintessential spring for Carmine Corp. That's not just in their playstyle, that's also in the picks that they've taken. Lee Sin Rise is not a set of champions that we've seen for a long time. Also,
even the Nautilus I feel like is falling out of favor, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of engage, a lot of defaulting back to picks that aren't necessarily meta right now. And we'll have to see whether or not this maybe misread, maybe just divert back to comfort is something that ends up biting them. Because whilst we both predict Carmine Corp to win this game, it's not without Mirage having their fair set of win conditions themselves.
For sure. They've definitely got it. I mean, those wards going down, being able to track 113, playing against Udyr and having wards in your jungle is like the worst thing ever. I cannot stress this enough, I feel like. The champion can just run you down in your own jungle, outduel you, take all your camps, steal your friends. I don't know. Like, it's so frustrating. It feels like, especially with priority, so.
He's got a better snap score than you. He's absolutely dominating in all regards. Well, level 1 hook and the cleanse expended. Quick trade, but ultimately, this is Lucian Nami getting bullied somehow, some way, and not quite able to push for that level 2. I guess the relic stack's actually putting in a fair amount of work to allow Hantera and Reckless to push a little bit further faster in the laning phase. But overall, like you mentioned, the Udyr is something that a bit of an unknown X factor maybe to the LFL, but to both you and I is a pick that we are going to be very happy to see. And whenever I look at a composition that has Udyr in it, my opinions of the composition does indeed rise fairly high. So we'll have to keep our eyes on Memento throughout the remainder of the game, see what he can get away with, because already completing a fairly good full clear, this is something that you will see very frequently on farming junglers, has actually skipped his red buff before clearing the 4th camp on his rotation that isn't a buff, and this just gives him really easy top to bot clearing. It means that his camps are going to be very well cycled on a great timer consistently. May not expect to see too much from Memento early on, but when he comes to party, the expectation is that he will be very far accelerated because he's got such clean, crisp clear through his jungle.
Yeah, KC though, 113, actually having cleared pretty fast too, able to take that bottom crab, gonna help Seiken get priority in mid, take the top crab as well, so he's feeling fine, and I think it is important to set an expectation here, Rude Dude, of, you know, we are very high on this Udyr pick, and with that, what do we want to see out of it? And for me personally, it feels like Udyr is a champion that he needs to be up a significant amount of camps. Not necessarily on the first clear, but just in general, he needs to be up on camps in this game. Up on ganks maybe as well, as Hantera will get jumped on, but no, it's just going to be Reckless. Left to the Wolves. First blood, gonna go to Mirage.
Give it over to Cody as well. Lovely stuff. Saw Memento there try and steal that away with a Phoenix stance, but Cody Sun able to secure first blood. A really good timing, and this is what we love to see from Mirage. You have a Lucian Nami, path toward the Lucian Nami. Give them control, give them a kill. Really good start to Mirage's early game in the bot lane. This is exactly what we wanted to see from them, and really the exact issue that we imagined would arise. Great expectations from Mirage being set up from what they could do with their draft, and they've executed on it nicely so far.
Yeah, super nicely done. I mean, again, name of the game, blow up bottom lane. And another thing too, again, 113, he takes the top crap, but that means he's not on the bottom side to answer this play, and they saw him go that way. He helped clear mid, so it's a really great adaptation from Memento. Super good stuff from the side of Mirage to get an early lead.
And a reminder, the one way that Mirage has found a win so far this split in its entirety was Memento having better tracking on the jungle, just reading where he needed to be and where he could go, along with Raxo actually having a very good Thresh performance, in fact. Not quite the same pin of champion with the Nami, but the support jungle duo was very key to their successes in that first win that they got. And if they can rekindle that dual friendship, there's a very real possibility that that can give them another win.
Now, despite that first blood going down, you know, obviously Mirage, they're feeling good about their stance in this game, but KC, everything's mostly fine. Reckless up a pretty significant amount of farm. Now Cody Sun should be able to pick up some of this wave to even that out, but also Seiken making this Rax counter pick look pretty good. not gonna fall to the gank, fortunately for him as well. I feel like that's kind of bold, stepping back up when Memento maybe could just flash bear stance you in the face, but Seiken, no fear there in the mid, and 113 just gonna take a dragon.
Yeah, I think that the debate there is that he's playing as though Seiken has got 113 in his back pocket when ultimately he didn't. But, you know, you play the bait, you end up bluffing successfully and getting away with not really burning anything. And also the fact that at this stage in the game, Rangjun's damage is not particularly prevalent.
Whoa, 113 with the flash finds the Q, and that's just an easy kill in the mid. Rangjun just gets dropped. I don't think either of us were really expecting that.
I mean, I wasn't expecting Rangjun to Valkyrie into melee range of the Rise, and
yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah,
I'm gonna give Carmine Corp the sort of, well, they took what was given.
Yeah, now Reckless forced to flash, didn't expend that one on the prior gank. Able to get away. Memento, good focus towards the bottom side, but mid lane starting to go in KC's favor, and we're already, I feel like, seeing that sort of split of the lanes where KC has favor and Mirage has favor.
Yes, now on this top side as well, we haven't really seen too much jungle attention drawn here, but Bad Lulu has been really struggling in this CS department, and Cabo now looking to start up with a bit of a slow push here. Could get this wave frozen on him, but with that teleport, will likely be able to come back to the lane, wants to reset his mana. And what they may well look to do here is set up for a bit of a dive. You can see that Carmine Corp has got their jungler on the top side, 113, no camps in that bot lane to clear. Seiken on this Rise can push any wave on a whim. And immediately you can see teleport into that top side. Seiken push this wave in, likely going to head up toward that top side. 113 already booking it through that top side jungle to try and make the play. Bad Lulu's Mega is about to go, and if they can get on the window for it, they can very well go for a play. Instead, it's going to be an opt into this topside jungle, but same sort of thing. Use that mid and top priority to extend an advantage in the jungle.
The timer does look good for Carmine Core, but Memento, right place, right time, going to prevent any potential dive, but maybe not the fight. It's taken very low, but FaZe rush Udyr with the turtle stance, and the flash carries him away. And Memento, did he get the blue buff too? No, I don't think he did.
No, did not. Did get a very close dice with death right there. Actually, the ebb and flow from Raxo was actually something that maybe not saved him, but gave him a bit more breathing room at the very least in that situation, where ultimately Carmine Corp in a 2 versus 3 managed to come out on top. They've taken away the blue buff. They're going to get to take away this Gromp as well. Probably not going to be able to look for the dive onto Bad Lulu, but without the kick, it's a bit difficult, but still, big advantage. You talked about the camps that Udyr wants. They're getting taken.
Yeah, and Memento, he's back. He's full HP. Cabochard is in, but Huntera, he's roamed up from the bottom lane. Raxo wasn't in range. Memento goes in without his team. Mirage, they thought they had a pick, but it was Carmine Core that was one step ahead the entire time.
Oh, just laying cheese for the mouse, honestly. They leave Cabochard out on the island, and then all of a sudden he runs them back into the trap. The rest of the family's there. Beautiful execution from Carmine Corp to set themselves up with that lead for the jungle. 2-0 now, 1-1-3 on this Lee Sin pick that we're seeing just, you know, slightly creep back in. It got picked by, I believe, 113 already this split, and he's a very proficient Lee Sin player on the spring split when we're going into EU Masters. The main prep that I had for him was very good at Lee Sin. The rest of the champions a little bit lower down in his specific tier list, so getting that gold onto a comfort pick for 113, exactly what they want.
And now Reckless going to get chunked low. Cody's son not going to have the damage to finish off the kill, though, and I think this is just sort of indicative of how this game has started going, right? The first gank on the bottom side for Mirage was really good. They get a lead for Cody's son, but they haven't really been able to do anything with it. Cody's son with a very minimal CS lead that should be tied up and equalized here by Reckless. Meanwhile, every other place on the map is going in favor of Carmine Core. They have significant leads in both solo lanes and farm. 1-1-3, we were talking about, we wanted to see the Udyr out-farm the Lee Sin. It's the Lee Sin out-farming the Udyr, sitting at 2-0 as well. So everything really across the map is in Carmine Core's favor, despite that early gank.
Yeah, the Udyr not having the statement piece that we would have hoped it to thus far, but I do think that Udyr is a champion that is much better at the scaling aspect, not necessarily the item or the sort of no item duelist that we tend to tout with the Lee Sin, for example. The thing with 113 right now is that he's actually far enough ahead of the curve that he'll be able to offset a little bit of that. Also making his way onto this top side right now. Rangjun not going to be able to cover for this, and the Realm Warp likely not going to be available actually. Stun hits and the big wave crashing. Bad Lulu's got Mega though.
Yeah, Bad Lulu gonna try to stack up the Mega. It's on now, and this should thwart
Memento's
the dive.
coming
Memento
too.
In the back pocket.
Yeah.
He actually shows. I'm kind of surprised that he showed. I wonder if he could have sat in fog and baited the dive, but maybe Carmine Corp was gonna call off the play anyway, and everyone's just gonna walk away.
Okay, so elements here of what we've seen from Carmine Corp in times gone by. Not necessarily executing fully on that top dive just yet, and Bad Lulu, by and large, has been able to sort of not necessarily weather the storm. He is down 25 CS here, which is a fairly sizable advantage for an Irelia to take into this mid-game. But not dying and not giving over kills is pretty much as good as we can particularly hope for, particularly with the season that we've seen from these two top laners. Bad Lulu has really been struggling against pretty much all top matchups that he's had, so not getting taken down here is something that, at least relative to what Mirage have seen, will be a fairly big victory.
Yeah, Dragon on the map, Carmine Corp was able to pick up that first one, wanting to pursue this second one. They also have the Herald in their pocket, so that should give them a lot of priority. But Lucian, Nami, Udyr, that is a very strong trio to skirmish into. It seems like KC, they're just going to prefer the mid lane priority, give this one up. Rangjun has the package as well, so it is going to be a Dragon for Mirage, and to your point, Rude Dude, I want to give some credit to Memento as well for helping thwart these dives on the top side. Yeah, he actually ended up dropping a kill himself on one of those covers, but by and large, it feels like he's been at the right place at the right time to help absorb some of this pressure. Even now, look, he's running his way up to the top side to try to help the Gnar, but Bad Lulu gets kicked, gets Irelia ulted, kites it out though. Rangjun is here. He's gonna get 113. He's gonna get Mega as well as a double kill for Mirage. Carmine Corp, they make the dive and it gets turned around.
The issue here for Carmine Corp is that I know what they're going to do, they know what they're going to do, Mirage also know what they're going to do. Rangjun reads the play. They're going to lose out on Raxo down in the bot side because Seiken made his way down here instead of helping on that top lane dive. But Cody gets out to safety, that's the crucial member that matters. And Carmine Corp here, slipping into old habits, and they're getting read like a book. Really good movement from Rangjun, prevents the dive from coming through. It gives a little bit of a reprieve to Bad Lulu as well, makes that 1v1 a little less difficult for a little longer. It also gives gold over to the Corki. Something that we've not particularly touched on is how much of a menace this pick has been through the LFL season. Has been absolutely dominating every single game that we get to see. The only real team that has had an answer is Vitality B, with Diplex taking the Silas. But it's not something that we've seen from Seiken this time round. His rise has been great at trying to move around the map to make plays, but so far hasn't had necessarily the answer that we may have hoped for.
Yeah.
And this Corki getting those kills, getting these assists is another way that Mirage can win. If all else fails, it's that fail-safe win condition. Granted, Cody Sun is a very good controlling force thus far, but as the game gets later, Lucian going to drop off a little bit, but a Corki only going to get stronger.
Definitely, and Seiken has played this counter pick really well to get a farm lead, have a lot of pressure on the map, as you mentioned, but team fighting into a Corki as a Rise is impossible. He outranges you by like an entire screen and does a lot of damage on the way in with those rockets, and Rise is sort of a champion that needs to be able to take some damage when you're 1 HP. It gets hard. Now, Pantera is already here, and Mirage, they spot that one out, and they immediately call off that play. They're still going to stick around under this tower. This is 4v2. No teleport for Rangjun. As Cabo gets taken low, it's going to be the kick in from 113. The focus isn't really there. They finally take down the Gnar. Now Memento gets dropped. It was a bit of a slow start, but Carmine Corp, they find their 2 kills and they get the revenge on the top side.
Yeah, they get a bit of a numbers advantage, and that largely is what sets them up to take that dive, because
Cody!
He gets that with Gale Force. Absolute sad B from Reckless, not wrong. And that dive in the top lane, I won't call it well executed, but it is executed sufficiently enough to where they don't lose anything. And they get 2 kills on that top side. Yeah. Overall, the ends justify the means. That's one of my favorites as well, where it doesn't matter how it happened, as long as it happened successfully. That's all that we care about.
Yeah, it feels like the kind of play where, like, the target selection wasn't great, but the tower juggling was really nicely done. And you know that Mirage, it's 4v2. They're not going to be able to beat you, so as long as you don't die to the tower, you're probably fine. So they made it happen.
Exactly. They get away with it, they get the kills, and they get out, they get the turret as well. They do end up losing out on a turret in the bot lane as well, so it is ultimately just... Oh, and the blue buff. Very important.
That's the most important part, Rude Dude. You can't forget.
My apologies, my apologies. And they're just going to look to repeat here onto Bad Lulu. Saken pushing this wave in. Carmine Corp are going to be spotted out 1-1-3 on this ward, but importantly, Memento once again cheating down to this bot side. They're going to be able to prevent that play.
No. At what point does it become bullying? Bad Lulu, he's burning. He's burning. He's trying to lifesteal. The deadly flourish goes wide, and he stays alive. But now the curtain has been called, and Reckless finds the shot. At what point? At what point is
we're
enough?
Past the point.
Enough. That is... I mean, Bad Lulu has only died twice, but he's been dove like 5 times.
Yeah, it's true. And as much as we're crediting Memento, unfortunately, the times that he's arrived, he's been 5 seconds too late. And in a game of League of Legends, 5 seconds is enough to turn the tides of these dives. So just barely not able to make the play happen. And Carmine Corp executing to within a very reasonable fraction of doubt, where they're able to get these dives just barely in the time frame which they need, and successfully get another set of gold injected. That time it was Reckless to pick up the kill here on this Jhin, which is going to be a very difficult champion to be taking out in the late game in particular, right? The Jhin itself, not necessarily the epitome of late game hyper carry, but is actually a champion that can keep himself very safe. You have the curtain call to dish out large numbers of damage from a very far screen away, and then also your kite capability with crit chance really does skyrocket. Even though you don't have the innate mobility as a champion, you're buying Gale Force, you've got the flash as well. Taking down the Jhin later on, certainly something that does become incredibly taxing.
Yeah, and speaking of that curtain call, the placement from Reckless on that curtain call, it forced Bad Lulu to either dodge the shots by going back into his team or die to the shots, you know, and I think it's subtle things like that that show why Reckless is probably the greatest Western AD carry of all time. If not the greatest, definitely one of them, and just nice play from the ADC of Carmine Corp. They're going to take their second dragon of the game for free. It's going to be traded for a Herald, so I guess everything has a price. It's not really for free. The price will be that second Herald. So Mirage maybe will be able to take their second tower with that. We'll have to see what they're able to do. And another interesting thing I want to bring up, Rude Dude, is we were talking about, you know, like, oh, Carmine Corp, they're going to want to get this Irelia so far ahead. And don't get me wrong, Cabo is definitely very far ahead, but actually hasn't gotten that many of the kills in a lot of these dives, has just more so been the benefactor of all of the pressure that has been sent his way.
Yeah, we'll have to see if this starts segueing into side lane dominance more so than anything else, or potential just complete stomps in team fights. When that Immortal Shield though gets finished for Cabochard, he's going to be completely unlocked in the game. There we go, now he's got it. 2 lifesteal items. Even if he takes a bad trade or something.
He's hard to kill.
Yeah, his ability to survive, sustain, and you know, if he just finds one minion wave, he's going to be able to slurp up to about, you know, he takes 50% of his HP damage. He's going to be full HP off of one wave. So it's kind of scary to see this Irelia if it doesn't get CC'd. The good news is that they've got things like the Udyr, like the Gnar, and disengage from Nami as well can be very, very scary.
Definitely. It is going to be Mirage. They're grouping up around this mid turret. They're going to drop the Herald. Huntera and 113 may have something to say about it, and Cabo is here too, and it's going to just be a Herald drop for nothing. It does barely get the charge. Oh, the smite almost took it down.
Just worth. We call it worth in our books. Now, I want to quickly mention, Rangjin here has gone for the Crown of the Shattered Queen as his mythic of choice. This is not going to be the Luden's Corki, which, you know, granted, is a lot of initial upfront damage, but this crown does give him that element of safety where the only real way that I see this Corki dying is if he gets engaged on by the likes of Nautilus Irelia, and that Lee Sin kick into the backline probably results in death regardless of crown. But I think that Irelia Nautilus, the crown itself, is going to be a very good tool to keep him safe. Needs to be careful of deadly flourishes, but outside of that, there's not too much which can catch him at long range to break that crown initially. So a different item choice, but one that certainly has its merits.
And you know, KC too, they have a durable team. Like, a lot of their members get some tankiness, but they have no true bona fide frontliner, feels like. So it's not like you need the damage of a Liandry's or a Luden. So I agree. I like this item purchase a lot. I think this makes a lot of sense for Rangjun. We get to see the Baron slithering its way onto the map here, as I don't think we're in a position where either team going to try to rush that one down. Actually, I feel like both teams don't even have the best Baron take in the world.
Yeah, Jin
everyone
renowned for
just
being
farm.
one of the worst ADCs at taking the
Yeah.
Drake. This is a critical strike Lucian coming through, not necessarily a spellcaster Lucian, so his crits, his auto attack, certainly going to be cycled through quite well. But this is obviously a Lucian build that doesn't necessarily give you the fluidity through team fights. I don't have any CDR.
Not quite, but 113 goes for the flash, doesn't find it. I like the attempt, but Cody Sun, good reflexes, gets away.
Just too quick on the fingers there. Cody sees the Lee Sin coming through and able to at least buy a little bit of distance. The Relentless Pursuit is enough to arc that kick into a position where 113 now has no flash and the kick doesn't really amount to anything. So certainly a good look from Mirage there, dissuading and disengaging on that play, and now 113 going to be a lot more hard pressed to find those engage tools. Obviously, Gale Force on the Lucian, but he still has flash. And it looks like we could just be seeing a bit of a slow pace continue here as we head towards this bot side, and Bad Lulu hops away from the dredge line, no harm, no foul. Drake spawning in about 90 seconds, and Carmine Corp setting up shop inside the Mirage jungle.
And that was the kick flash route, dude. That is the big playmaking tool of 113. So, yes, he'll have the kick back up by the time this play comes around, but now the only member without flash, that is definitely something that could be exploited. Memento, I think I know who he wants to bear slap in the face in this team fight. The answer is everybody, but he definitely wants to get 113 because, as well, if you're able to take down the Lee Sin, it makes getting the dragon that much easier. So, definitely something to keep your eyes on in this upcoming fight, which is sure to be explosive. Rangjun, I feel like should have the package up and available. I think he's been keeping it on a dragon cycle timer, so have to look at that as well to be something that can turn the tides.
Want to as well mention that we have got Seiken, who is farming incredibly well here, working towards that Rabadon's death cap. If he can get it prior to this next Drake fight, he's going to be very, very scary. I don't think that's going to be the case, though. Does have TP if he was able to find the gold. Not going back to base suggests to me that he's not going to have that chance, not going to have that window. But we have got some crucial items back. Lord Dominic's Regard being hit by Reckless. The Muramana being completed for Rangjun. For Rangjun. Importantly, no Infinity Edge for Cody just yet.
Yeah, that will be critical, and he's only like 1,000 gold off too. Definitely feels bad, but here comes the posturing. I do not see a package in Rangjun's inventory right now. I do not believe that one's available, so something to keep note of. Root lands, Memento gets knocked up, Memento gets taken down, and 113 able to get out. KC, they have just won the fight very easily.
Yeah, not really even starting. They just sort of pick off the jungler, and then Mirage sort of say, well, there's nothing really we can do about that. We're not going to take a fight after the fact. So they do end up taking him at tier 1. I'm quite happy with the adaptation. They may be even able to start wailing away on the tier 2 as well. They do see Cavo. Oh, he's TPing behind them, though.
Oh,
big fight from Carmine Corp coming in.
Yeah, Seiken throws the realm warp, but doesn't end up taking a Cabo. Lands 3 with the Vanguard's edge, but a nice ult from Bad Lulu attempts to disengage. 113 actually kicks the Gnar out of the fight. 1 kill has fallen so far as Cody Sun will cleanse and run his way away. With the root landing, it will force the flash as well. Seiken wants one more and will find it. KC, they pick up 2 more, and they answer back with the mid lane tower.
Really good play by Carmine Corp. Mirage got baited by thinking that Cabo was bot side. Instead, he shows on a wave, forces Mirage up an extra wave forward, and then TPs behind them, finds a flank from one angle. Seiken comes in on the other side, and the rest of Carmine Corp use Nautilus Lee Sin's engage power through the front line to really rout Mirage. A gorgeous executed fight. Nice sequence of plays in the jungle. Ooh. And they're going to turn tail straight toward that Baron. We talked about giving an inch, taking a mile in the first game. This is the epitome of that by Carmine Corp.
Yeah, it truly is. Now the package is online. Rangjun has it up and available. Memento, he's got the flash. He can get in. He flashes over, doesn't find it. 113 secures it, but Seiken getting taken down. 113's burning. Everybody on Carmine Corp is going to drop. They get the Baron, but at what cost? 3
people die, and that is more than worthwhile for Mirage. They stop the Baron push really well. Not going to have anything really to do for Carmine Corp. They've got it on Cabo Shard and Reckless. 3 kills extra means that Mirage are likely going to be able to do something with this wave in the mid lane, but 2 people that are here are very scary.
Yeah, Cabo can probably just 1v3 this. He just blew up the enemy support, but gets blown up himself. Cody Sun fires in the Koling and culls the top laner of KC. What an explosive sequence it has been, Brood, dude. Ever since this dragon fight, which was now over 2 minutes ago, it feels like these teams have non-stop been throwing haymakers at each other, trading towers and objectives and kills nonstop.
And another 1-for-1 there, but that is again more than worthwhile for Mirage. Cabochard had the Baron, that's another one off the board, and your split push capabilities now pretty much gone. They simply do not exist anymore. Reckless is going to be Bastion of Solace in that mid lane and going to be buffing up that wave, but this is a replay of the fight. Mento comes out here, smites not in time, flashes over and 113 does secure it, but the rest of Carmine Corp just sort of running for the hills here, fleeing and getting away to safety as best as they could. 113 falls, it's Reckless the only one able to survive. And then obviously Cabo after the back of that throws his life away once again. So really questionable choices by Carmine Corp when it comes to the ending of their plays. Turn tail and run approach was probably the best one for once they've got the Baron, ultimately just biting a bit more off than they could chew.
Yeah, and I like that you do bring that up, though, because it does feel like that's been the story of this game. Carmine Corp, I don't think there's too much question that they've generally had control throughout the entire game, but they've just made some really strange mistakes, some strange overextensions that it does feel like maybe is an indication of why this team is only 7-6. And now they're committed onto the bottom lane tier 2. Mirage, though, they're going to force them back. Reckless has the Baron, so once he comes into range, this one maybe should be able to drop a Memento. Excuse me, Mirage, putting up a very strong defense here.
I really think Bad Lulu should have gone for that. He had Mega Gnar, there were 4 people walking through his jungle. I was like, oh, that's an engage, but not quite pulling off that that fight. So I think Carmine Corp getting away with a bit of a misstep there through the enemy jungle in the face of a Mega Gnar, but they're nevertheless able to cycle out. They don't quite get the spot lane tier 2 turret. The Baron ultimately inconsequential, really, in this game. A 1600 gold lead presently for Carmine Corp. That's about it, but there's an important dragon spawning inside the next 50 seconds. It's the Hextech Soul for Carmine Corp. They've got 3 Drakes already. They've got 2 Hextechs on the board also. They're going to be getting themselves some really nice boosts to the combat regardless. But if this Drake gets picked up, the Soul goes their way, they're going to be very happy.
And that slow from the Hextech Soul could be killer for a composition like Mirage's that really wants to kite in and out of fights, and definitely something to watch out. 30 seconds, everybody just wants the mid wave. The call has been made. Play on mid. Now, Rangjun, again, not having the package available, use it at the Baron. Now, granted, to great effect, but that one not being available is just huge. Last time around at the Dragon, Memento got picked off before the fight even started. It's a very similar setup. He gets rooted again. It's the exact same sequence. I feel like I have deja vu, but this time he lives. Hantera actually gets taken very low, able to survive though. Now, Bad Lulu, he needs to frontline for his team. He has the Gnar available with the flash. Look for the fight. If you're Mirage, you've got to go. But no, Bad Lulu, he's just gone.
Caught out, picked off, and taken down. The front line from Mirage now gone, but Rangjun on this Corki still dishing out damage. Hantero comes forward.
Yeah, Hantera goes forward on a solo mission, ends up trading one back. Carmine Corp, they're split. Cabochard base to maybe look for a TP. What the heck just happened, Mirage? They're going to take the Dragon. They're going to thwart the Soul.
Yeah, Bad Lulu may have fallen, but he acted as that front line. It was more than enough to enable Rangjun to step up. We had queries, we had questions. Would this Corki go into the late game unchecked? And right now, he's the one who's doing the damage. He's the one who's setting up around those objectives and putting out the damage when necessary. Carmine Corp had complete control over it, but we're getting to the point where we can't be burning all of our cooldowns onto the Udyr, onto the Gnar, because there are more high priority, high profile targets. Memento taking all of those cooldowns, he's more than happy about that. He'll quite happily take that every day of the week if they're not getting expended onto Codison, onto Rangjun, the 2 hyper carries in the backline that Mirage are going to be looking to dish out their damage. And right now, they're doing a very good job of it.
Yeah, and it feels like the story of today, Rudude, has just been whoever walks up to start the fight just instantly dies. I mean, Bad Lulu with the Mega was saying, Mirage, you've got to go. And Bad Lulu says, all right, I'm going to go. And then just got blown away. Speaking of getting blown away, it's the dive in the back line. They kick back the Lulu, but 113 is now all of a sudden in the middle of 4. He manages to stay alive with the Gore Drinker and trade back the kill. Now, Cabochard in the back line there, Yard's Edge, getting the resets. It takes down the Corki, but no, it's a stopwatch. Memento able to kite it out. Seiken gets the kill onto the Corki at the end of it all, creating a 3-for-2. Carmine Corp wins the fight.
just barely. Taken and Reckless still going strong. They're going to be able to take this turret, probably not too much more. And at crucial timing as well. There's a Baron spawning in 15 seconds time. Both junglers actually, not particularly prevalent in this engagement. Memento not really being able to get up to this Baron pit in time. And Carmine Corp, their jungler's dead, but I don't think that's going to stop them from trying to start it off.
Yeah, Ryze does burn the Baron down very quickly. I was talking about the slow Baron takes. I kind of discounted this fact that he is machine gunning this down, and this is a full AP Ryze root, dude. Now,
stop doing the Baron!
It was so close. Was so close to the steal last time. Now he gets rooted up. The Everfrost actually going wide. That could be huge. Codyson tries to assassinate Reckless, doesn't quite find it. He will find the Ryze though, and now Carmine Corps, they've been scattered. Reckless can't fight. Huntero goes down. Is it going to be Mirage taking the Baron?
There's no way we're on for 2 out of 2 upsets today, Hawk. It simply could not be. Rangshun has package.
Uh-oh, Rangshun gets jumped on, able to package across though. It's going to do so much damage. 113, take it so low. You need him to stay alive because you need to steal the Baron. He's not going to make it in. Bad Lulu should be able to zone him out. The Baron is still at half HP. Reckless arriving back to the fight. Cabo's still on the back, but he is so low. He can't fight this. It's gone.
One.
Cody died. Cody died!
He stole it!
With the Q! Sonic Wave takes it down! Are you kidding me? And Mirage, they think they're gonna find the upset, but Memento didn't have the smite. Carmine Corps somehow won the sequence.
I'm retiring.
What just happened?
Neither of these two teams deserve to get that Baron.
Oh, no.
And Carmine Corp, they're probably gonna win the game. They get the kills, they've got the Baron. They could just push down mid lane. I don't know what happened. I don't want to know. This was the weirdest sequence of events I have maybe ever seen. Realm Warp into the base. Are they just going to win?
Yeah, I mean, death timer's still at 10 seconds. I think that's all you need. The Nexus is exposed. Carmine Corps, we were looking for a nice and clean win against a bottom of the table team. It is a win, but I don't know how clean.
I mean, that was something.